Hello, everyone. A very good morning to all of you. So, first of all, welcome back to my channel. I think I'm coming after such a long time, so I'm really sorry that I had to give you a long waiting time there. This time, I was thinking that what is the right topic to start with this new series. So, I came across a point where I thought that if I were to learn a new module in ServiceNow, right? If, for example, if I know something like ITSM and I want to learn something like ITOM or ITAM or whatever. There are so many modules in service now. And how do I begin the journey? Generally, people learn ITSM using experience because most of the ServiceNow guys actually work on ITSM, so they learn it by real projects, by experience also. But if there is a need when you have to upgrade yourself and you have to work on a new project which involves new modules also, then how do you learn that module? What is that right path? Because there are a lot of documentations, there are a lot of videos out there are a lot of materials out there, so people get sometimes confused that how should I start the journey, right? I mean, what is the most optimum way in which I can actually learn it most efficiently in terms of spending not a lot of time, but still getting the hold of it, at least to that level where I can talk about it in front of customers, in front of clients, right? Now, there are some cases, for example, my journey is more of a business process consultant journey. So I will be talking more in terms of how do you learn something from that angle, that the process angle, the artifacts angle, the workshop decks, and everything. Yeah, in terms of developers, you need to understand that okay, what kind of stories do we need to configure? Even from a business analyst perspective, you need to understand what kind of stories will be there to implement that particular module. But before going to stories and workshop decks and every other thing, I think right now we're talking about just the basics. When I say basics, I'm talking about I, as a service now person, need to learn something new. On, for example, let's take the example of ITOM. Then how do I learn that? So I'll be creating some more videos exclusively for ITOM later on, for ITAM later on. That is fine. So this video is not primarily for ITOM learning. This is I'm just taking an example just to, so that I can showcase you that how do things work and how do you start your learning in that particular direction. That's the whole idea, right? For example, I have to learn ITOM and I am an ITSM guy. The first thing I will have to do, I should be doing in fact. Now, there is no mandatory stuff here, right? There's nothing like you have to do this. It is more about what you should do. And this is from my experience, I'm telling you, because I've done similar way and it has been really fruitful to me. I've talked to multiple of my peers. Similarly, they have also taken their journey and it has been really beneficial for them, right? Now, let's assume that you know ITSM and you want to learn ITOM. Now, the first and foremost thing you have to do is you have to go to docs.service.com, right? Now, all of this is publicly available. So I'm not talking about that I am logging in with my partner portal ID or with my partner's ID, with my official ID, and then I am having access to all of these things. All of these things, whether it is docs.service now or it is even now learning, you can register for now learning, you can register for service developer.service outcome, you can register, and the same ID can be used across all these things. And this does not require any money to get access to those resources, right? So it is free of cost. Point number one. Point number two, it is publicly available. And if for docs.service.com, you don't even have to log in, to be honest. So if you see, I have not even logged in here, right? Even then, I can access everything here. Now, so the first thing you have to do is you have to go to the homepage of docs.servicenow.com, and because there are so many products, all the major products are lined up here. If you go inside this view all products, you will figure out a lot of other products which are kind of smaller bits under these things, but all the major portfolios of ServiceNow, if you see APM, CSM, ESM, governance, risk and compliance, field service management, IT service management, IT operations management, security operations, procurement operations, even now platforms. All of these are listed on the front page itself, right? Now, if you click on the one module which you want to learn right now, for example, in this case, it is IT operations management. The first thing you have to do is go to this page and read that page thoroughly. Now, see, the most exhaustive way of learning is that you read entire thing in this docs.service.com, which is practically not possible, guys, because you don't have so much of time that you can actually go into each and every page of this particular thing and you will learn it. So that is, of course, the most exhaustive way and the most standard way, but I am talking about some efficient tips and tricks which can help you understand those things quickly, right? If you see here, now if you can see the version is UTA, because right now we have UTA already released for ServiceNow recently, right? Now this gives you a very high level understanding in terms of what exactly is IT operations management. Now we see it gives you very hierarchical view of things. For example, if I talk about, there are so many modules. One is one part is item licensing and subscriptions, because the way licensing and subscription work for a particular module in ServiceNow is different from module to module, which means for IT service management, it will work differently in terms of approvers, in terms of ITL people, in terms of fulfillers, read-only access, all those things, right? In terms of ITOM, it will work on some other method. For example, nodes, how many nodes you're discovering, how many nodes you're doing event management for. I'll not go into much detail about ITOM. As I said, this is more of a high level understanding that how do you proceed a journey to start something new, right? If you see here, it talks about there are so many ITOM governance is one part here, then you have ITOM visibility, then you have ITOM health, then you have ITOM optimization, right? Now, if you go a little inside it, you can see visibility means it talks about discovery, then it talks about service mapping. So there are two parts which are aligned to visibility, which is the discovery and service mapping. Then there are parts about health, which is event management, health log analytics, cloud like agent cloud collector, cloud native operations. So mostly people are using this one. This is coming up recently, so I think it'll also be picked up in upcoming implementations. But right now, people are focusing more on event management. Then item optimization. When you talk about optimization, you're talking about cloud provisioning and governance. So the idea is you see this video first. So not video. I'm talking about see this page first. Understand this page. What is it all about? And then you will also find some videos here from ServiceNow community. For example, if I were to go to health event management, right? I go to item health. Let's go to item health. So I'm talking about first page of every major module here. You can see what all things are there, right? And then when you move further and you see event management, for example, one topic of then you can see there are so many options which are there, but you don't need to read all of them. There are some YouTube videos also available. So if you see, this is it talks about videos, event management basics. Now if I open this getting started with ITOM, this is something I would recommend strongly you should go through, because these are officially published videos of service. Now it talks about everything here. I have learned most of my stuff from these videos, to be honest. So go through these videos, learn, because they're not much, right? We see the even the durations are not much, 8 minutes, 3 minutes. You can even while taking a stroll, while even traveling in a cab, you can just go through these videos. In 1 hour, you'll finish all the videos, right? So it'll give you a very high level understanding of everything, whatever want to talk about. So that is why I'm saying that even for ITOM, you have these many videos. You can see that, and of course there are multiple other videos on YouTube which you can always refer. But this is the official ServiceNow videos. It is always good to refer these videos. So idea I was trying to make here is that we should go to the home page of that particular module. For example, in this case, ITOM, and then once you go to ITOM, you want to go to the home page of event management also, right? What is event management all about? So go to those pages, learn that exploring event management. For example, the first thing you should read this document, and you should go through these videos. These are very standard ways of learning and the quicker ones, because if you start going into each and every page, for example, if I want to show you from here, it is such a big deal, right? So IT operation management, then you have everything here. So if you start going to each and every page, it will be too much time consuming. However, as I said, it is the most standard way of doing it. But if you have enough time, then go through this method and go click next and learn everything. But you might not be able to retain everything, and it might take a lot of time. That is why I'm telling you that go through those videos, because they're quick ways to learn things. And as I said, I will also be releasing my own videos on ITOM, ITAM, and SAM, especially from process perspective. Now, this is one part of it, right? Where you can go to docs.service now, go to the home page of that particular module, and select that topic which you want to learn. Just read the first or second page. Do not go much into it. Maybe you can just see the headlines, the left hand side, what all things are there at a high level. But if you go to those videos which I was talking about, which are there already published, it will give you enough understanding of what these things are all about, right? This is point number one. The point number two is because, as I said earlier, the now learning is also free of cost if you register. So if you see, I have registered for my own ID. And then here I'm, this is my personal ID. And from here, if I go to now learning service.now.com and then click on now create, this is a very standard URL. So now learning URL is available. Even if you search for now create URL service now on Google, you'll figure it out. This is your now create URL, right? Now create is a very standard. I know people have might have seen it. If you're not aware of it, then let me tell you, this is the most useful thing for you right now in ServiceNow ecosystem, especially when it comes to the real world implementation of projects, because it has almost everything. It has process guides, it has workshop guides, it has starter stories, it has all the other assets, right? Even the implementation guidelines. Now, for example, how do I scroll it? How do I go there, right? So, for example, if I have gone to do it again for you. Now learning service.com and then slash now create, right? If I go here, and it is, as I said, it does not ask you for your official login. Even with the personal login, you can do it. And click on search for an asset, right? If you go to search for an asset, and then if you want to learn something, for example, I want to now ignore these things right now, because here I generally select all, and because I don't want to miss anything, to be honest. But then now, if I want to select a particular thing, for example, I want to select IT service management. Let me take this example. And now this is the high level module I'm talking about, the product suite, right? Now, which product I'm talking about in IT service management? And maybe I am interested in incident management, for example, right? Now it will show me everything which is related to incident on the right hand side, 27 search results, right? Now, if you see, it also talks about how what are the leading practices, what are those best practices which we need to develop, right? Secondly, it talks about how do we prepare for customer workshops if there is any, right? And the most important thing for a business process architect or a business analyst is this process workshop, process guide. Now, this is the one I'm talking about. You, as a business process architect or a business process consultant or business analyst, must be expert in this. If this is your bread and butter, and not from that angle also, not only from bread and butter angle also, right? Even if you want to learn any module in service now, then the first thing I would recommend at a personal level is to learn the process guide, because this is where you understand the entire process, how this particular process is being adopted in ServiceNow, how is it being followed, the entire, so the entire process information is there for that particular thing. Now, as I said, as a business analyst, you need to demonstrate those processes in the workshops, right? So you need to know this stuff quite really well, right? So if you do your mastery on this process guide stuff, it will be really good. Now, for implementation perspectives, you will need starter stories, scoping guide, workshop guide. I'll not go much into that because that will be a different discussion for another time. But right now, what I'm talking about is if you can go through this particular process guide, it will be really helpful for you to understand that particular module. Now you've already gone through Docs Service now. You have seen first or two pages, one or two pages there for every topic, and now you have also seen the videos published by ServiceNow from those pages which I have shown you. Now the next step for you is to learn the processes from here and then see the best practices. Now, to be honest, best practices, everything will come quite late in the game, not right now. There are a lot of other things in this. I'm not talking about all of them because it requires a different session altogether. Right now, the agenda of this call is just to let you know that how do you start a journey and learn something new. This is point number two. So once you've learned the process, you have seen the basic docs.service.com, and the next step, which is the most obvious step, that how do I do it practically, right? Which is where you need to come to your PDI. Now you have, I think we have talked enough about personal development instance. If you see my first one or two videos, I have talked in detail how to register for PDI, personal development instance, on developer.service.com, how to get an instance. So that is all there. I am not going to repeat that part because it is already covered by multiple people, and I'm sure most of the people in ServiceNow ecosystem know about all this process, right? Now, what I'm talking about is from here you should also go to guided setups. Now, guided setups may not be the full and fledged way of learning, but believe me, it really helps you to understand what all information is required when I have to implement a particular module. Now, if you see, I have right now just opened the ITOM guided setup from here, and this is what you can see on my screen: IT operations management guided setup. Now, I will not go much into what all these things talk mean, because, as I said, this is another video for ITOM offerings, which I'll talk about later. But the idea I'm trying to tell you is, once you start looking at guided setups for a particular module, you actually understand what it takes to implement that module. So it will also help you to gather the right requirements, to go back to the customers and ask the right questions. So all of this information you need to collect from your customers to actually implement it. Now, this is where I'm talking about that guided setup is a really important thing which you want to always go through. Now, of course, now all these guided setups will be appearing in system only when you have installed the relevant plugins. Now, for ITSM, we know that it is kind of default thing, so it is there in all the base versions. But if you want to implement anything beyond ITSM, like IT operations management, IT asset management, then you will need to install those plugins to activate those modules. Now, those guided setups actually come only after that part, once you enable those particular modules, right? If you see here, it talks about everything. So it also talks about the prerequisites. We see it clearly talks about we to set up the platform the first time. You need to do all these things like platform branding. You need to do email settings and how which inbound outbound email will be there. What is the LDAP server from which I'll get the user information. Single sign-on, so people will be logging into service now using single sign-on method, right? And then when you click on get started, you will learn automatically that what all information will be required to implement a particular module. This is for ITSM. So company, they're assuming that you have not installed anything in ServiceNow so far. You're using a base system, and this is the first time you're using the system. That is why they're talking about even platform level setups here. Company, connectivity, email, LDAP, SSO, right? Welcome pages, foundation data, which is very important. Right? Foundation data we have talked in our previous videos also. It is very, very important because it lays the foundation of the entire platform, and it is one of those things which is used across all the modules. So this has to be definitely correct. There is no question about it. Then you have to install a CMDB. Then you have to install incident management. There are so many things you can do on incident management. There are so many things you can do on major incident management. There are so many things you can do on problem management, change management. So I'm not going into full details right now in terms of how to implement ITSM. All I am trying to say here is that once you go through all those docs.servicenow.com, the basic information about it, once you go through those process guide information from now, create now, right? Then, then you should be going through guided setup. Once you see this guided setup, it will give you good amount of information in terms of that what is required for me to implement it. And of course, there is no question about should I practice it in my instance or not? You have to practice it. I mean, this is the only way of learning. And theory helps you to understand the concepts, but if you don't do it, if you don't do a hands-on, it'll not be reinforced in a system, right? And then you will need to revise them. You need to see how it works. So, for example, when I read the process guide from Now Create, which I was talking about some time back, right? I was talking about this process guide, for example. Now, if I open the process guide and it tells me, okay, these are the things which, for example, let me open this process guide for you, and I'm downloading it right now. And it says downloaded. It's taking some time. These are generally Word documents because it talks about the process. And to be honest, if you know about ITIL, then it will be a quick win for you. You can just go through and just see that what all things are implemented in ServiceNow in terms of the processes, right? But if you do not know ITIL, you have not gone through the ITL foundations, then I would recommend strongly to go through each and every single line of this document, because that will give you that understanding, full and fledged understanding, comprehensive understanding of that particular process. This is where it becomes all the more important to go through this process guide, right? Now, as I said, if you know ITL, then it will be quick cakewalk for you because you have seen the process, you know the process. It is just about understanding the deviations, how did they do it in service now, rather than actually learning the process. But if you do not know the process, then this is the thing for you. This is the main guide for you. First learn it, and then you see how does it work, right? I'm opening it up. It'll open up in some time, but that is what I was trying to explain to you, that docs.service now, first two pages, Let me reiterate again, just to quick revision there, right? Docs.ServiceNow first two pages, those ServiceNow official videos which are available on Docs.ServiceNow, and the process guides. Once you see the process guides, the next expected step from you is to actually see all these things in system. So rather than reading it line by line from Doc.ServiceNow, which I was saying that it is quite exhaustive, it is better that you focus only on the relevant things. Now, when I say relevant things, for example, if I have to implement incident management, then these are things I need to be bothered about. I don't need to bother about the entire Doc.ServiceNow for incident management. Right? This gives me enough information about incident management. Even it talks about the overlapping of incident management with different processes. So if you see the content, right, it talks about introduction, principles, basic concepts, process scoping, objectives, roles and responsibilities. How are these incidents initiated? The entire life cycle of incidents. How does major incident management work? Right? What are parent-child incidents? Advanced work assignment, and then it talks also about the relationship of incident management with other processes, change management, problem management, configuration management, everything, right? And then it talks about even governance, that okay, what outcomes do you want to achieve. So the point I'm trying to make here is even the diagrams here are there, right? So it is quite a comprehensive document, and to be honest, it is a comprehensive document, but still it is readable because it is not bigger than docs.serviceform. Docs.serviceform.com is a really long document. You have to read it, you have to be really focused and read it day by day. But this is some document which, if you just want to spend one day on one process guide, I am sure you can read it because it is not more than 40-50 pages. It is easier to do that part, right? Sorry, so this is what I was talking about, that if you go through this process document, it will give you a very good understanding. And for a business analyst and for a business process architect, I must tell you, this is something you have to master if you want to be really good at your art, at your skill, right? Now, apart from that, once you have done these things, you have seen the process guides, you've seen Doctor Service now, you've seen those guided setups also. Then you can just do some hands-on in your PDI, looking at what is required as a part of this process, right? What are the states? How do I send incident from one state to another state? So all of this is a very good diagram which will really help you. Now, as I said, I'm not talking in detail about incident management, but I'm talking about any process document from ServiceNow now create. It'll have some diagrams, and that will help you to understand the overall thing. And from here, you can actually do everything. So whatever steps are being mentioned here, you should be trying those steps in your developer instance PDI and all the state new, right? Everything whatever is there, you should actually see it in system. How does it work? And do the entire life cycle. So if you remember, we talked about the life cycle also, right? Incident life cycle. Every document, every process, we have to talk about life cycle. So if you understand the life cycle properly from end to end, from beginning to end, it will be easy for you to demonstrate that in the workshop, and you will learn. Because see, if you want to learn anything new, then you should know about the entire life cycle of that particular thing. We do not know from where it starts, how it ends, what are the KPIs I am trying to fix, what are those business outcomes I'm trying to achieve using that process, then it will be difficult for you to do that conversation with the client, right? Because clients generally do not focus only on implementation, even though the SOW is signed for implementations. But what they're expecting out from you is the real guidance, the real consulting, what is the right way to do things, the best practices. And you can know them only if you understand the overall process end to end and what are the pain points. So, as I said, once you read this process guide, it will be really good. Now, after going through all of this, if you think there is something I still need to learn, I'm not very clear about it, then the last part is go to nowlearning.service.com and learn and search for that particular module. For example, at incident management, right? And wherever you find incident management video, or maybe ITSM video, whatever you're talking about, then you just see that video, right? That is, so for example, you can see beginner, there is a 10-minute video, you'll have advanced videos also. So there are so many videos, there are so many learnings here. Now, some of them must be free, some of them might not be free. It all depends upon the kind of module offering it is. So wherever it, as I said, if you do not have access to partner portal, if you do not have access to Now Learning from your official ID, then use your personal ID, and wherever it is free of cost, just do those courses. And and then I think you should be able to learn it, right? So just do a focused learning. Do not start learning everything, come exhaustively. So see what are those major things which you want to learn around it, and whenever you have questions related to a particular topic, for example, if you're not clear about SLA, how it is configured, just taking an example, right? In that case, I would recommend you go back to docs.service.com and see that particular thing exclusively. Okay, SLA configuration, how does it happen? That is how it will be easier for you to grasp that particular thing which you're not able to understand, right? But first try from your own hands, and as I said, there is no alternative to hands-on. You'll have to do hands-on. So these are some of the effective ways by which you can learn things quickly, right? And of course, there are so many YouTube videos by a lot of people. You can always refer them. There is no question about it. But unless and until you make your hands dirty, you explore it yourself, you do all those changes in system and see how it happens, how it does not happen. Right? That is where you actually learn those things, and this is where it adds to your experience. You can actually speak for that particular thing in front of your customers and clients. Right? I hope the video was useful, guys. Right? And I will be recording some more videos going forward, especially from those processes perspective, that how a particular process is implemented in ServiceNow. For example, hardware asset management, software asset management, event management, discovery, and what all things will you be needing to actually implement those things for customers. That is the primary point which I will take through in the next videos. This video was only and only about how do you want to start. So this is not a spoon feeding exercise, to be honest. This is, I'm just giving you a path, because these are 3 or 4 or 5 things you can have a look, and this is how you should start your learning journey for a new module. So I'm expecting that you already know Now Platform, you know basics of ITSM and all those things, and now you want to learn something new, some a new, because there are so many modules in service now. We need to learn all those modules. Nobody's an expert in everything, right? But yeah, as and when you progress further and you learn, keep on learning new things, it will definitely grow up to your experience. You will also enjoy it, right? I hope the video was useful. If you think it was useful, please do share with your friends, like and subscribe to the channel, and feel free to express your comments. If you think there is something missing, there is something I can do better in the next video, I'll be more than happy to accept that, acknowledge that, right? And just wait for the new videos. And I'm again sorry that you had to wait for a long time for this one. Thank you very much, guys.